Just like that.
I'll call this meeting to order. Roll call, Ms. Clark.
Trustee Bertelson?
Here.
Trustee D?
Here.
Trustee Moran?
Here.
Trustee Black?
Here.
Trustee Sarah Wilson?
Here.
Trustee Sandy Wilson?
Here.
Trustee Gary Lucine?
Here.
Trustee Neal?
Here.
Thank you. We please stand for the pledge. All right, tonight we're going to be, well, we won't be joined. We're going to go across the hallway to the balcony. Anybody's welcome to join us, but we have the SMS Honor Orchestra over there in the auditorium, and they're going to play a song or two for us. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back. You're welcome to join us if you'd like. Welcome to the April 13th Bozeman School District Board meeting. Thank you for joining us. Public comment will be taken throughout the meeting on agenda and non-agenda items. During the public comment, no member of the public will be allowed to comment on contested cases, other adjudicative proceedings, or personnel matters. The public portion of this board meeting is being recorded in accordance with District Policy 1420 and Section 2-3-214 MCA. By remaining in this meeting, all participants and attendees acknowledge they may appear on the recording, which will be placed on the school district's website for a minimum of 1 year from today. Further instruction about participating will be provided throughout the meeting. Before we engage in the business of the board, I would like to share the core purpose of the Bozeman School District, which can be found on the back of our nameplates and to the wall on my left. It reads, Bozeman Public Schools exist to ensure high-level learning for all students. All right, well, welcome. We'll get started. The BSD 7 experience, student representative reports. And for tonight, we actually have 2 questions, so you can quickly answer them, I hope. But first one is what was or is your favorite thing about your high school experience? And then your next one is, what are your future plans? Who's going first?
Me.
Ridge, all right.
I'll start us out. My name is Ridge McGovern. I'm the Gallatin High Student Body President. My favorite thing about high school has probably just been connecting with so many different people. I've made so many friends, hopefully so many lifelong friends. Very social person, so I'm glad I've got to meet so many fun and amazing people that I get to call my friends. And then my plans for next year, I am going to Montana State University to study biology on the pre-dental track. So I want to be a dentist in the long run. So that's kind of what I have. Since the last time we saw you guys, our girls basketball team took home the state championship with an undefeated season. So very historic run for them. And then our boys basketball team had an amazing run at state as well. And our Gallatin High HOSA Club recently took 42 students to Billings to compete in a variety of leadership, teamwork, and health profession events. After 2 days of competition, GHS brought home an impressive 39 medals. Notably, Gallatin students swept both the biology and clinical specialty events. Bozeman Night Live was a great success, featuring Raptors in multiple acts and showcasing a wide range of student talent. Our Key Club had an outstanding showing at the State District Conference. GHS was recognized as the Club of the Year and received several major awards. Theater Club is excited to present a Midsummer's Night's Dream by William Shakespeare. We invite all you guys to come. Performances will be held Friday, April 24th, Saturday, April 25th at 7 p.m., and Sunday, April 26th at 2 p.m. 2 weeks ago, 70 Gallatin High students participated in World Language Day at MSU, where they attended college-level classes and explored language programs offered at the university level. Gallatin High has been preparing for prom on May 2nd, so that's exciting. And as a student council, we've been exploring a lot of new fundraising ideas this year for future years to come, and we've landed on a new fundraising that hasn't been done by Gallatin High. So we're partnering with the Drive-In Movie in Churchill, and we'll be hosting a drive-in movie in May. So more details to come about that. I'm super excited for that one. In athletics, we have several upcoming events. Tennis faces Bozeman tomorrow at 3 p.m. Track competes in a duel against CMR at 3 p.m. tomorrow. And both softball and baseball also play at 3 p.m. And our newest sport, boys baseball, is off to an incredible start this season with a 6-0 record. Thank you.
Thank you. Rosie and Sarah, looks like you guys are arguing who goes first, so
Yeah.
go for it.
Hi, I'm Rosie. I'm one of the Bridger Charter Academy representatives.
Hello, I'm Sarah Stanish. I'm the other Bridger Charter Academy representative.
Next year, I plan on taking a gap year. I don't know exactly where I'm going for college after that. However, I will be attending a higher education. I will be studying archaeology, or more specifically, anthropology with a focus in archaeology. I'm going to be in school for the rest of my life, pretty much. But I hope that I enjoy it. I should. I love history. My favorite thing about high school has probably been theater. Just genuinely, like, all of theater. has been really amazing, but I think the best theater experience I've had was this past production that we just did, not Princess Bride, but the smaller one that we took to the Thespian Festival. The Marsh was really near and dear to me. Yeah, your turn.
My favorite thing about high school is probably like just like branching out in general. I feel like I actually became a person in high school. So I was very I didn't really talk to a lot of people in middle school, but high school I really branched out. And I also really enjoyed like traveling in high school, which I didn't get to do much years before. And next year I'm not planning on going to college in the near future, but I do plan on moving to Portland and making music, and as well as just like working my butt off to make a lot of money, the vibes.
All right, starting off strong, our BCA student count currently is 128 students. Mainly what we have to talk about today is some Hawk Times that we've been providing throughout April. We've had community building Hawk Times, including cookie decorating and trivia, and we had a board meet and greet with donuts, coffee, and great conversation. And we wanted to thank you guys so much for coming and meeting with our students in BCA. It really does mean a lot to us. We've been having senior meetings to prepare for graduation, so BCA actually does have a separate graduation. We're able to attend one, neither, or both. I'll be attending both. And yeah, and the BCA graduation is a little bit more personal. We write, teachers write about different students, and they like to recognize a bunch of students. Students talk about if they want to speak, and we actually vote on who we would like to represent BCA at BCA graduation and who would like to speak and give a speech. And it's really sweet, and I'm pretty sure we get cake, which I'm looking forward to. And then my last thing is that we have an upcoming Bridger brunch planned for Hawk Time with freshman hosts, which is really exciting. I'm not entirely sure, so don't quote me on this, but I don't believe that we've had two freshmen host a Bridger brunch this year entirely by themselves. We've had sophomores, juniors, seniors. We might have had one freshman with a sophomore, but we haven't had two freshmen yet, so this is pretty exciting.
And then with our late work deadline, our teachers are supporting our students with getting in work, because it gets really hard at the end of the year, because it's just like getting motivated to do the work and everything like that, especially seniors, yeah. And we have been working to get BCA elections underway, as we're both seniors, so we do need to get some people, some juniors to get in here so they can be in our spot next year. And Rosie has had the honor of being chosen for the Worthy Student Scholarship, and she chose BCA's teacher, Courtney Leary, as her distinguished educator. I'm going to let her speak a bit more about that.
Yeah. We decided to put this on the list because I really just thought it showed how important BCA educators have been to Bridger Charter students. I met Courtney Leary last year when I was in her combo class with Reiner as well. However, I had seen her around the BCA halls before, and the only time I'd really seen her interacted with her, she was incredibly kind and respectful. And then as I got to get to know her when I was a student of hers, I just found that it's she's where I am in 10 years. We're both history nerds. It's everything just clicks, and she's just been such a huge role model for me. And so throughout all of my years of high school, all 13 years of high school, she just really stood out to me as someone who's incredibly important. And it was actually a very tough decision between all of the BCA educators that I had to choose from. When I was thinking about distinguished educators, it was mostly the BCA teachers, and I think that really just shows the importance of the connection that they have with their students and how much it really means to us. So yeah, and that is it on our end.
Okay. Hi, I'm Jenna Kiddo, and I'm the student body vice president. And next year, I'm going to the University of Utah to go into nursing, I think. I want to go into medicine, but there's a lot of different branches that I could go, so probably nursing. And then my favorite part about high school has probably just been all the different experiences that I've gotten. I have had the privilege to be a part of a lot of different things, sports and clubs and just kind of everything. And it's been really fun to like experience everything.
Okay. Hi, I'm Taylor Trudgeon, and my favorite part of high school, I would say it's all the things that we've done too. I really like dances. I think we've gone to over 20 high school dances, and those have been fun, and football season's always fun. And we've just met so many people, especially being on student council. People come with us with the randomest like concerns, and so we've met a lot of them. Next year, I'm not headed anywhere that I know of yet into a further education, but I'm going to be working here. I'm an intern in children's ministry, and I might go travel around the world just to get some more perspective of how other countries work.
Okay, so I'm going to start off with sports first. Baseball is new this year, so their current record is 4-1, which is exciting considering it's new. And they had a game today against Great Falls. And then softball had their first game last Tuesday against Great Falls, and their record is 1-5, and their next game is tomorrow at 3. Track had their first track meet last Monday at Gallatin, and they have one tomorrow in Great Falls. And then tennis plays Gallatin tomorrow. And then speech and debate has nationals in June, which is far away, but I thought I would share that. Oh, okay. And then for music, a couple weeks ago, choir went to Orlando, and they competed against a whole bunch of different other choirs. And they took 3 different trophies. They got first in everything. They could have won. It was really cool. I was there. We did very good. And then we had districts last week. And then band also had districts last week, and so did orchestra. Okay. We also had Bozeman Night Live that Gallatin and Bozeman participated in. It was very fun to watch and be a part of also. I was in one of the acts, so that was really fun. And then one of our fellow students won on Saturday. I don't know who won on Friday, but I do know who won on Saturday. And then theater, we have our musical Mamma Mia coming up at the end of the month. The last weekend of April and the first weekend of May is when it will be showing. And then this Thursday, they have a fundraiser that they're going to be doing a couple dances and songs. Yeah.
Okay. For our clubs, HOSA, as Ridge said, they went to Billings a couple weeks ago for their annual leadership conference. And they did really well. They took home 27 medals, which was really impressive. For dances, we just had our prom, and it was hosted at the Elm. There were lots of students. The DJ was good. It was fun. It was bittersweet being seniors, but it was definitely fun. And then events. So we have our dodgeball tournament on Friday. Me and Jenna were kind of concerned about participation, but we looked today and there were a lot of teams signed up, and we're hearing about a lot of teams that are signing up, so that's always really fun. There's like a huge trophy that we made, I think our sophomore year, and it's like tall as us. So that's always exciting. Our end of year event is coming up. We have a big like barbecue, and we feed the whole school. And we have all of our clubs that get the opportunity to participate, and we have a carnival basically. And so they get to set up a booth, and students get to buy tickets. And then our elections are coming up. Yeah.
Thank you for the updates. Are there any questions or comments from the trustees? All right, I don't want to do this, but I will. You guys have an assignment for next one. I'm not asking the question. You guys can have opportunity to ask somebody up here if you want a question. The only caveat is I still have this, so if it's not appropriate for the room, this will be the response. But, all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yeah, so we have been talking as representatives, and we have a question about one of the club policies.
So Taylor, we'll have to talk about that. So and like we've been discussing back and forth, you're welcome to talk about it in public comment.
Okay.
Because it's not, because we are a public meeting and our rules are, well, you can talk to the legislature about it, but if it's not on the agenda, we can't talk about it. We can't respond, and the appropriate spot would be a public comment for 6 on item 6 tonight, if you want to have that conversation at this point in time, or I'm happy, some of the trustees are happy to meet with you individually to get a better understanding to start. So.
Sorry, I
do-
thought you were asking us to ask a question.
No, I'm sorry. It was
Oh,
a
I was like,
homework assignment.
sorry.
Sorry. It was a homework assignment for next meeting, but it's probably more similar, but I can give you a little bit more, probably more similar on what you guys have been asked. So like, yeah, not policy stuff, like something fun. Maybe. Huh? Well, that's why you have a month. You guys will be good. If you don't want to, you don't have to. You won't have a question, but all right. Sounds good. Thank you guys for your time. Have a great night.
I also, sorry, I have something I wanted to add really quickly that like just popped in my brain about Mamma Mia. It's something new that we're doing this year, and we would really encourage you guys to come the first Sunday performance. So it's that last Sunday of April, because that's going to be our sing-along Sunday. So the lyrics are going to be projected up on the wall. We decided to do it the first opening weekend, opposed to the last one for our seniors, just so the last one can be all bittersweet and we can sob as my best friend sings "Slipping Through My Fingers." But yeah, so really come on Sing Along Sunday. It's going to be so much fun. I believe the 3 of us are in it, and it's a blast. Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much.
I have my tickets.
Thank you guys. Have a great night. Next, Board of Education, Special Education Program updates. Casey.
Thank you, Chair Black. Invite Director of Special Education and Student Programs, Mr. Chad Berg, who's going to, we've had a lot going on in the special education world, and he's going to provide trustees a variety of updates. One regarding services for students ages 19 to 22. Another one that I've been updating, keeping you abreast of, is the changes to the RTI model for learning disability identification, and then just some general program updates from the special education world. Welcome, Chad.
Thank you. I'll work that. I have shared, and I will move into presentation mode. Awesome. Thank you. Before we jump in, I want to take a moment. This past week, we had the Montana Council for Exceptional Children Conference here in Bozeman. And just want to take a moment to just get it out there and say, I've seen Casey do some social media posts that Emma Roca and Madison Grams were nominated and selected as the Region 4 CSPD Paraprofessionals of the Year. Oh, okay. And we tested it before. Good. Okay, I'll touch gently. Quick year in review. I know this is a 15-minute board education, and that I can get pretty passionate about these topics and go way deeper than I need to. And so most of what I've tried to do is provide a series of links so that if you share that passion or have the curiosity, you're able to follow the links and dig in at any level you might desire. Last year, when I came for a board update, I foreshadowed that there was some pending litigation, and as is often the case in the world of special education, we have rules and regulations, and we have litigation, and litigation can drive. It's another way that case law is made. And in Montana, Disability Rights Montana had filed a lawsuit against the state of Montana and the Office of Public Instruction on behalf of a group of students who were about to age out of services. And so I'll talk a little bit about the results of that lawsuit and the implications that we're working through. Casey also mentioned the response to intervention model for identification for students under the specific learning disability category. This primarily applies at the elementary level for students who are newly identified as students with a learning disability. This model shift is something that we didn't have to do, but we are choosing to do, and we're choosing to do it for a number of reasons that I'll touch on as we talk about that. And then we always are updating our program trends and data, and we are at that point in the year where not only are we working on everything to finish up this year, but we're working hard to plan out what next year looks like in terms of our staffing needs and projections. Every year we look at every school and we look at the students who are in that school, the incoming pre-K kids, the outgoing kids transitioning. We do that at every grade band, and we staff around the needs that we're facing, and so I can give an update as to where we're at on that. With regards to the age 19 plus stuff in this Disability Rights Montana lawsuit, a bunch of links here. This is the bulk of the slides for this topic, so I can click links and do this deeper dive. The August 13th link is a link to the court order itself. The issue at hand was that Montana was the last state in the nation to limit the age of eligibility of services for students with identified disabilities. You may remember a few years back, the legislators, House Bill 233 passed, and that enabled school districts to adopt policies to allow students who are likely eligible or were eligible for adult developmental disability services. You hear in that description a narrowing down of a district may choose to do this, some didn't, and you hear that that's a subset of students with IEPs, those students with significant developmental disabilities who were eligible for adult transition services. That was the law of the land up until August. In August, the state of Montana settled a lawsuit that acknowledged that because we provide a free and appropriate public education through our system of adult ed, we are a state similar to every other state in the nation that needs to provide a free and appropriate public education up until a child's 22nd birthday, regardless of how they qualify for an IEP, unless they have received a regular high school diploma, and that definition of a regular high school diploma is pretty specific. And we've known about at the federal level since 2017 that definition of a regular high school diploma is what ended our obligation to provide services for some students, and we've lived with students age out unless they're eligible for those adult transition services. And we've had students who have moved to other states where the age of eligibility has been through their 22nd birthday, and we've put statements in saying their pathway to graduation in the Bozeman School District may have been based upon completion of IEP goals and objectives. That's part of the current Montana statutes that need to be looked at in the next legislative session. So I do anticipate legislative changes coming up. I anticipate policy changes that we'll need to make to come in alignment with this settlement agreement. We've been having good, robust planning and discussion and training in our district, and I put a link to the slide deck in there that I put together for some staff training earlier this school year, where we've really done that deep dive. You can get into the weeds. This isn't just a high school issue. We start making decisions for students as to whether they are on a path for a regular high school diploma or whether they are participating in an alternate assessment aligned to alternate achievement standards. We start making those decisions as early as second grade in anticipation of third grade state testing. And we can undo some decisions, and nothing in federal law prevents a child from trying to earn a regular high school diploma if they've been on an alternate track. And so we've got to live in that world where we're open with families, having discussions about the implications of IEP decisions at very early ages, and then expanding this discussion for high school students who may be credit deficient, who haven't earned a regular high school diploma, but they may choose to come back, and they may choose to come back as a 19 or 20-year-old when they otherwise would have dropped out. And at that point, we still have an obligation to help them earn a regular high school diploma, and we're in a really good spot. We have proficiency pathways that we can look at that aren't dependent on seat time, and that's all part of the state definition of what credits are needed to earn a regular high school diploma. So we are fleshing that out. A piece of what we are doing is a position that's been created and posted for our adult education program that is a part-time special education teacher connected to adult ed, recognizing that when we talk about the least restrictive environment for a 20-year-old, where are 20-year-olds currently? We don't need to have 20-year-olds coming back to Bozeman High or Gallatin High trying to get seat time for classes that they may not have passed in their freshman or sophomore years. So it becomes a responsibility for us to work with that young adult to creatively look at how we can see demonstrations of proficiency. We may be able to backfill an award through completion of high-set testing, a portion of the credits needed for a regular high school diploma. We may have online courses or dual credit course options that are more natural courses for 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds. So we're working through all of that right now. I feel like our braided MTSS PLC work has really, there are districts who have, in designing their special education models, have gone deep into, we're going to do core replacement math classes for students with IEPs, core replacement English classes, and those classes connected to lower grade level standards would not meet the bar for this being a rigorous course aligned to grade level content standards. Most of what we do with the braided MTSS PLC model is an additive. We're providing differentiated support in the general classroom, providing access to those grade level standards, and we're building in direct special education support on top of that for gap filling skills. So inadvertently, the structures we've been building enables us to pretty effectively move into discussions, authentic discussions, that this diploma that we're awarding is truly a regular high school diploma. So ton of stuff there. We could unpack that for a longer time. I'm going to segue into response to intervention model for identification for students with specific learning disabilities. This change, as we've worked with our staff, we've convened a work group of about 40 individuals who, we have classroom teachers, we have intervention teachers, we have special education teachers, school psychologists, guidance counselors. We have a large crew. And we had one meeting last spring and we had 3 meetings this fall. And in the work that we've been doing, MTSS PLC work, in work that we've been doing primarily around the science of reading and improving literacy instruction, we kept hearing that the work that we were doing in a, like all of that good work where we're building in intervention support was still being hindered by what's often referred to as a wait to fail model, where a child isn't eligible for special education until they've demonstrated a significant discrepancy between their overall cognitive ability as measured on an IQ test and a specific academic achievement area. And we've needed to see that gap, that discrepancy, grow to a point of significance where we could qualify that student. One of the issues with the discrepancy model is that it creates a floating criteria cut point, so that if a student has higher cognitive abilities, that cut point for the discrepancy qualification on the achievement test also raises. In other words, it becomes easier to qualify or harder to qualify depending on cognitive factors that aren't directly related to student outcomes. And this is not like an aha moment in the Bozeman School District. This is known in the field. And the alternative, an RTI model, is likewise incredibly difficult to implement well and challenging to implement well. And so our build group was an effort to say, if we are making this shift, we will do it well and we will do it with integrity. And so we've pulled together that group within a response to intervention model. We looked at guidance. Montana, being a very local control state, is a state that hasn't, the Department of the Office of Public Instruction has not put out significant, robust guidance documents that say this is how you do it well. They'll provide the framework and then let local school districts build decision points within the framework. We convened a team that looked at the Montana frameworks. We also looked at best practices and guidance documents from Michigan, Minnesota, Colorado, Illinois, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Washington, and Texas, where they had more robust examples of this is how you operationalize that criteria. And we used a consensus model to make recommendations and to get a gauge as to where people were at and where we should set those decision points within our district. We looked at, we had within the criteria terms that were in the criteria but were not defined. So we had to churn on things like a student still needs to show significant low achievement in order to qualify. So instead of having that cut score that floats, this was an opportunity to create a consistent cut score that was not linked to a child's cognitive ability, so that we could have a consistent application of the criteria throughout the district. We also had to define what it means to show an insufficient response to scientific research-based interventions. Those 2 points dovetail. And so we were reviewing what's a good quality intervention that has a strong research base behind it, where we can look at the meta-analysis of the research and see that the mean effect size shows that this is an intervention that will make a difference. And then if we're implementing that intervention, how many data points are we looking for to know whether it is having an impact or not? Because of the criteria says we have to implement a series of 2 or more interventions, and it's the child's lack of response to those interventions that becomes the qualifier. It's not just have a psychologist and a teacher test the child and then we'll see where it falls. Our MTSS teams, our site intervention teams already do this work, and this puts greater specificity around what tools are we using to set intervention goals, what kind of progress monitoring are we doing, when is the decision point to move from an intervention process to a referral process. So it's been really significant work. The greatest work is yet to come. We did our thumbs on consensus, but now we have to live the implementation of this day in and day out. This RTI work is written into our special education program narrative. It's approved by OPI, and in this approval process, we are providing a window through the rest of this year where a team may use either discrepancy or the RTI model. Next year, saying we're making that harder shift to an RTI model, K8, with high school coming on board the following year. But really, this has primarily been an elementary-driven issue with the frequency of initial evaluations suspecting specific learning disabilities at this level. There's lots of visuals and graphs and bell curves and graphs showing what a good response looks like, what a poor response looks like, what a questionable response looks like, instructions on how to set up our progress monitoring data tools. That has been all of the work of that RTI build group. And we'll continue to build it out and implement it. Last topic of the big three, special education program trends. I joined the district in 2008 and have been compiling this data since then, and it's been really interesting to live and see and feel the implications of growth as a community and growth as a department. We went through a period of time just on this chart where the growth of the special education department was occurring at a faster rate than growth in the community. And so we've got kind of charts that show where our special education identification graph was going and where our community enrollment trend was going. We were growing, and particularly between the 2017 to 2023, 2022 timeframe, that was the era when Common Core standards were being implemented. The bar was being raised in terms of what it means to be a proficient student in the state of Montana and what it means to be a proficient student in the Bozeman Public Schools. And even though we didn't see significant changes in the criteria, we saw greater numbers of referrals coming in because we had more students not proficient when that bar was raised. And our referral process, particularly using that discrepancy model, qualified those kids who were not yet proficient. And we went through a window of COVID where we were providing services, but we were not engaged in reevaluations as frequently. And so as we came back and engaged in more reevaluations, we were able to celebrate student success and exit students. And last year I showed some data implications where many of those students being exited from IEPs were rightly being moved onto 504 plans, which has caused our student population under Section 504 to really grow significantly. That's still work that we are churning on as a school district. You can see in the last several years, our curve has shifted, and we've gone from that high point of identifying around 911 students with disabilities with IEPs. Our October count, and this year, October of 2025, was 793. And as we've gone through those expansions, we've grown as a department and we've added staff. And as we've shrunk the number of students, that has also prompted us to take a look at staffing levels at the elementary, middle, and high school level. And we're continuing to churn on that as well and integrating some of those staffing conversations in with how do we provide intervention services, since this is connected to that RTI model in that discussion. If you like deep dive graphs, this is a graph that looks at how students are qualifying, and we have criteria off on the right-hand side: specific learning disability, other health impairments, speech and language, autism, cognitive delay, emotional disturbance, developmental disability. All of these areas are defined at the state and federal level, but our teams are responsible for working with teachers and families to complete referrals and identify students and exit students when they've met their IEP goals and no longer demonstrate a need. Our biggest area of growth is also paired with our biggest area of reduction more recently, and that's the blue curve, which focuses on students with specific learning disabilities. So somewhat reflective of increased rigor, increased standards, increased identification, coming back from COVID, increased amount of reevals, more success celebrated around exits, and those numbers coming down. So it's been an evolution of our program. Like I said earlier, every year we're looking at who are the kids that are in front of us that we're serving. That's 793 unique students with unique needs, and those are individual education programs that we have to then figure out how to serve collectively within our school district. So on the horizon, implementation. When I was at the MCEC conference last week, I took a picture of the screen of something that really caught my eye, and it was this math equation of effective innovations times effective implementation times enabling contexts lead to improved outcomes. We are fortunate to have a district that is an enabling context. We have braided MTSS PLC structures that enable us to build services out even in anticipation of litigation that positions us in a really great spot to effectively serve students. And with something like effective innovations like the RTI model, we can't just rest and say, we've got a handbook. It's still the everyday, day in, day out work of our site intervention teams to do the heavy lifting of an RTI model. So all of that is needed, and we have so many of those ingredients in place to lead to effective student outcomes. I don't know, where am I at on that? 15 minutes? No? Okay, great.
Thank you, Chad. Are there any questions or comments? Sandy?
Well, I don't have any questions, but I do have a comment. I want to really thank you for, you've been in front of us many times over the years, and your passion for serving these kids is so apparent every time you come forward. The information is wonderful, and it's hard work, but it's good work. So thank you for what you do for these kids and families.
Gary?
Yeah, I echo Sandy's comments, Chad. I really appreciate the hard work you do and your staff and our special education teachers and paras. I have a couple questions on, was it House Bill
233?
233. So was that done in 2023 or 2025?
23.
Okay, and then for the 19 to 22-year-olds, do we get A and B for those students as they come back in?
House Bill 233 outlined the A and B requirements. That A and B was available for students who met the criteria in House Bill 233. Not all of the kids now meet the criteria under 233. 233 needs to be changed because we do have more expansive service requirements.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other comments from trustees or? Chad, appreciate all the information and time as usual. Thank you very much for what you do.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thanks, you too.
Next, 2.3, recognition and awards. 2.3.1, Music USA CJMS recognition. So I think we have coming up would be Adrian Advicula and Leah Bully. Come on up. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for inviting us here. Last month, our CJ Band and Orchestra went down to Orlando, Florida to compete in the Music USA competition that's in collaboration with Universal Studios down there. This was our 4th year of going and our 2nd year of competing in that specific festival. This year, the orchestra took 1st and the band took 2nd in their categories. Orchestra was awarded an excellent and band was awarded a superior in terms of performance labeling. Yeah, this program has been, or this trip has been really, really beneficial, impactful to our 8th graders. We take just our 8th graders, we take any 8th graders who want to go. And it's really impactful because we're competing against ensembles that are selected by audition. And so to say that Montana's public schools are competitive against select auditioned group is really, really fantastic. 1 second.
That was one of the things that was pretty special about this. Being my first trip over there, both our orchestra and our band were the only ones that were not a select orchestra or a select band. And for them to compete and to compete well and receive those marks, it says something that's pretty amazing about our district and about our music program, not only at CJ, but just here in the Valley.
Are any of the students here?
Yes, we have a
can-
number.
You can bring them up.
Oh, excellent. CJ students, if you're an outstanding soloist, could you come on up here? You're a soloist. Yeah, come on up. So from orchestra, we have Evan Chandler, who's an outstanding soloist as a violinist here. We also had Lena Yoon, who is labeled as an outstanding soloist, but she is in the honor orchestra right now, so she was not able to attend. As for band students...
Sure, as for band students, we had 9 students that were recognized as outstanding soloists. We have Rose, piccolo. We have Iris, also in piccolo. Haley, clarinet. Evie, clarinet. Lyra, clarinet. Saxophones for alto and tenor, we had Clayton and Annie. And then trumpet, we had JB. And then over here we had Nelson and the tuba.
All right, congratulations. Nice job. Is there any trustee comments? Sandy, I'll turn it over to you then.
Well, congratulations. I'm very excited to give this award. I have a couple of questions. When did you start playing your instruments? Was it 5th grade or?
Yeah, I believe we all started in 5th grade.
Oh, is that right? Okay, awesome. And my second question is, do you have plans to go on in high school and participate in the music programs there? Could I hear from each of you?
Yeah, I'd love to participate further in Gallatin High School band as much as possible. Hopefully, actually take it up on through college, and then we can see where we go from there. Of course, it's all a bit early in the process. Just take the opportunities where you can get that.
Yay, goals. That's awesome.
Yeah, I would love to continue actually into college and maybe even major in music. I think that would be really fun, and it's really a great experience.
I'm hoping to continue in the band and branch out to several different bands, such as marching band, pep band, and to get out to rhythm ensemble in my junior year.
Nice.
I am also wanting to continue doing music into college. I really enjoy it, and I am going to do marching band.
Awesome. Well, it is my pleasure to recommend that the Board of Trustees adopt the following resolution. Whereas Music USA, a nonprofit organization promoting music education through quality evaluation, hosted a spring music festival combining a rewarding performance opportunity and quality adjudication by leading educators, and whereas CJMS 8th grade band and orchestra participated in that Music USA Spring Music Festival on Friday, March 27th, 2026, and took home several top awards. And whereas orchestra received excellent ratings with the first place ranking, and whereas the following students received outstanding soloist medals: Nelson Carl, tuba; Evan Chandler, violin; Annie Foley, tenor saxophone; Clayton Homan, alto saxophone; J.B. Klein, trumpet; Rose Murray, piccolo; Lyra, is that right? Lyra Sin, clarinet; Iris Vandersloot, piccolo; Evie Ward, clarinet; Haley Weber, clarinet; Lena Yun, violin. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees recognize and honor these middle school musicians for their success.
Second.
Okay, motion made by trustee Sandy Wilson, seconded by trustee D. Is there any public comment? All those in favor? Motion passes 8-0. Congratulations. And then before you guys run up, come on up. We'll take a quick picture and hand out these things. Thank you.
I was meant to ask you that.
Unless you have like really specialized cases that are meant for the other side. But
You have these out later to the kids. Thank you so much.
Mary Nelson, you're too tall to stand in front of me. There you go. So we're getting in. Okay, we're going this way.
Congratulations, guys.
Congratulations, you guys. That's awesome.
Next up, 2.3.2, 2025-26 Swimming State Championship Team, Individual State Champions, and All-State Individuals. Siobhan Gilmartin, there you are. Welcome. Sure. All right, so you guys can also come around the edge. You don't have to be scared of the desks, but the columns you should be, because if you're behind a column, we cannot see you, and we'd prefer to see you.
This one? Oh, goodness.
All right, good job.
Yeah. So do I have to keep holding it? Do I keep holding? Okay. So believe it or not, you're not looking at our whole program. You're just looking at members of the state championship boys Bozeman Hawk team, and then the rest of these swimmers were all state finishers, meaning they finished in the top 6 in the entire state in either an individual event or relay, and many of them multiple of those feats. So I'm just going to read a little brief. So this year we watched the Bozeman boys capture their 3rd consecutive AA state championship and the 21st state title in program history, while the Gallatin girls historically, but came heartbreakingly close to winning state, finishing just second by 1 point, and came down to our final relay. One of my favorite stats of this season is that for the Gallatin girls, 13 out of our 17 swimmers that swam in prelims swam in finals. I think that speaks to the significant depth and team effort that was put into earning a 2nd place trophy. Our Gallatin boys team, they're all intermixed, which I do love. It's not really easy to find, but our Gallatin boys team for the 2nd year in a row brought home a 3rd place trophy, a feat in which 6 boys amassed a total of 158 points. And last but not least, our incredibly small but mighty Lady Hawks. Remember, it's 7 total swimmers. When we sat down at the beginning of the season, our captains, both of whom are seniors, set a goal for their girls team, recognizing the small team that they wanted all 3 relays to come back and swim in finals the next day. And they came together as a team, and we got a little creative. Hazel swam on 3 relays and made a sacrifice in one of her individual events, because you can only swim in, if you swim in 3 relays, you can only do 1 individual event. So she gave up an individual event to swim at state to swim on 3 relays, and all 3 of our Hawk girls relays swam on day 2. Our Lady Hawk 200 medley relay placed 9th, 200 free relay placed 6th, and the 400 freestyle placed 4th. Those are only the kind of results that happen when an entire team commits to something bigger than themselves. I want to recognize a couple of swimmers individually, just because we have so many graduating seniors and also incredibly talented athletes standing in front of you today. Each year at our awards banquet, we hand out an MVP or MVS maybe, the most valuable swimmer on our team, and it's just objectively who scored the most amount of points for their team. And the bar for this, for your Bozeman Hawk, the state championship, to win this was that you had to win both your individual events and win both relays you were on, and that was actually 2 swimmers that earned that feat, and that was Max Aguirre, and right behind him, Callahan McCauley looks thrilled. So that's not a small thing when you consider the group of boys that we have. Here we had several other swimmers who finished third in both their individual events, like Emery Blasco, a graduating senior, and on 2 winning relays. We had Quinn McCauley, who's brother to Callahan, who also placed third, but Callahan's graduating. He's just going to get to be Quinn, not brother to Callahan, moving forward. Quinn in the 100 free and the 500 free placed third and was on 2 first place finishing relays. Bryce Thorne, who's not able to be here this evening, he's playing on that Bozeman Hawk baseball team right now. He placed second in the 50 free and third in the 100 fly, and was a part of both the winning relays, along with Emery and Callahan, that broke a 22-year-old school record in the medley relay. We had, with this group of kids, we've seen, well, the Gallatin record board continues to bankrupt our program as they improve every year. But we saw some really significant records that were multiple decades old fall on the Bozeman Hawk side. And so not only are you looking at some incredible, kind, committed humans, they are also really freaking fast at swimming. So I feel really like I have the best job in the whole world, getting to hang out with them all winter. But these are your Gallatin Bozeman boys and girls swimmers.
Congratulations.
Okay, yeah.
Do you have one more thing?
Ollie Belasco also placed third and was on 2 winning relays at state. So, and he's amazing. Save the best for last.
Well, congratulations to all of you on your season and your successes. Siobhan, thanks for creating the environment that you do and the culture. It's greatly appreciated. Seems like you're enjoying it. So again, appreciate that. It's good to see someone that's leading all these kids enjoy what they're doing. So appreciate that very much. Any comments? Greg, did they take down a couple of yours? Your
What
records?
was the question?
They take down a couple of your records?
Max may have just barely got my 100 breaststroke by about 9 seconds. That's with that state record. Congratulations, you guys. It's amazing to watch you all do what you do. I was a Bozeman Hawk swimmer way back in the day, and so I know what it's like to have that morning practice and then that first class after lunch and prying your eyelids open and then going back and doing it again after school. And your level of commitment to get to this level is amazing. And I'm just really, I really admire all of you for your commitment, and it's going to carry on to other things in life. And congratulations on the accomplishment in the state championships and reaching goals. And Sarah has the questions and the honors, so I'll be listening to hear what's going to happen next. So thanks for coming tonight.
Trustee Neal actually lap swims on Monday and Wednesday mornings when we're there, just so you know. He sees the chaos.
Raise your hand if you're a senior. Okay, so for the seniors, we'd like to know your name, your best memory of high school swimming, and your plans for the future, swimming or otherwise. Yeah.
If you could swing by them, actually, you could use, if this microphone's close enough, just push the button on the right with the person talking. You can use that one, or that one. Yep, that's great.
I forgot the question.
Oh, you're the MC. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, I can go first. I'm Victoria Bender. Next year, I'm going to attend Georgetown University in DC for international relations. And I guess my favorite memory is just jumping in the pool after the Bozeman boys won state, both my sophomore year and my senior year. So.
My name is Elias Jacobson. I forget what the question was, but I'll just go over a couple of things. Next year, I have a kind of forced gap year. I'm planning on going to Gallatin College with their degree in aviation. And then my favorite swimming memory is all the bus rides we had, especially after state. It's always like a really good time. We have speakers on the bus, bumping music, so yeah.
I'm Callahan McCauley, and I think my favorite high school memory is also just being on the buses before and after meets, just being with the team and kind of hyping each other up. And I'm going to PLU for swimming. No.
My name's Emery Belasco. I'm going to swim at Chapman University next year in Southern California. And my favorite memory was probably last year at State when we were doing haircuts in Siobhan's hotel room right after prelims before finals the next day.
I'm Alexis Hubbard. One of my favorite high school swim memories is probably the bus rides as well and jumping in after the Bozeman boys won state. And then next year I plan to go to Gustavus Adolphus College in Minnesota, and I plan on swimming there.
My name's Gavin Brokaw. I plan on attending MSU next year, and my favorite memory from swim is probably all the morning practices when you see everybody tired, and there are some people who are like always awake, and it's really annoying. So then you have to get in the really cold water. So yeah.
Hi, my name is Alina Maganito, and I'm going to the University of Chicago next year to double major in biochemistry and neuroscience, and I'm on the pre-med track. My favorite memory from high school swimming is either freshman state or senior state, because it's like you got to see two ends of the spectrum, like first going to my first high school state, and that was just like so fun, a new experience, and then coming to my last one as a senior, and then being able to hang out with all of my friends for the last time. It was really fun.
I'm Hazel Irvin. I'm going to University of Mary Washington in Virginia for something history related next year, and my favorite memory of high school swimming was similar to Alina. I really enjoy the community, especially having such a small Bozeman girls team this year has been really fun because we get to know all of the people on the team better, and we get to have some really fun times practicing together for state. I think that was probably my favorite part.
Oh, hi, I'm Kayla. I guess my favorite memory from high school swim, sorry, I didn't really have any time to think about this, would probably also be all the bus rides and jumping into the pool. It's just really fun getting to spend time with all your different teammates. And then next year, I'm going to Vanderbilt University to study medicine, health, and society on a pre-med track. I don't remember if there was another part of the question, but.
That's perfect. I do want to point out that these three senior girls from Gallatin were a part of a team their freshman year that only had 5 girls. There were 4 freshmen and 1 senior. And they started meeting in my class. Everyone here has heard this story a million times. But they started meeting in my classroom every single week the fall of their sophomore year, actively coming up with strategies to recruit swimmers to come out for their program, including buying bracelets, free pizza, all sorts of fun things that sophomores would want to do. And they amassed a team the year prior to their freshman year. Our Gallatin girls scored 0 points at state. So 5 years later, to come home with a second place trophy and an incredible community with over 20 girls is something to be, I think these 3 girls have created a legacy that is going to outlive them, and obviously their time here. We're so grateful to have had them help build this program.
It is recommended that the Board of Trustees adopts the following resolution, and it is not short, so you'll have to be patient with me. The Bozeman High and Gallatin High swim teams competed at the AA State Swim Meet in Great Falls on February 12th through 14th, 2026, and whereas the Bozeman High boys team finished as state champions. Team members included Max Aguirre, Emery Belasco, Ollie Belasco, Gavin Brokaw, Xavier Busiker, TJ Drake, Calvin, okay, thank you, Ian Ferguson, Cyrus Geddes, Elias Jacobson, Shin Yo Napper, Ben Landgen, Callahan McCauley, Quinn McCauley, and Bryce Thorne, and whereas the following Bozeman High team members won state championships: Max Aguirre in the 200 individual medley and the 100 breaststroke, Callahan McCauley in the 200 freestyle and 50 freestyle, Max Aguirre Emery Belasco, Callahan McCauley, Bryce Thorne in the 200 medley relay. Ollie Belasco, Callahan McCauley, Quinn McCauley, and Bryce Thorne in the 200 freestyle relay. Max Aguirre, Emery Belasco, Ollie Belasco, Quinn McCauley in the 400 freestyle relay. And we're only one page in. The following Gallatin High team members won a state championship. Trig Suvilicek.
You did have to leave to go play tennis.
Okay. Did I get the name close?
Yeah.
Okay. The following Bozeman High team members earned all-state honors by placing in the top 6 of the state meet. Max Aguirre in the first in the 200 medley relay, first in the 200 individual medley, first in the 100 breaststroke, first in the 400 freestyle relay. Emery Belasco, first in the 200 medley relay, third in the 200 individual medley, third in the 100 breaststroke, first in the 400 freestyle relay. Ollie Belasco, third in the 200 freestyle, first in the 200 freestyle relay, third in the 100 backstroke, first in the 400 freestyle relay. Muriel Getz, sixth in the 200 freestyle relay. Alexis Hubbard, fourth in the 500 freestyle, sixth in the 200 freestyle relay, fourth in the 400 freestyle relay. Grace Hubbard, fourth in the 400 freestyle relay. Hazel Irvin, sixth in the 200 freestyle relay, fourth in the 400 freestyle relay. Elias Jacobson, fourth in the 100 breaststroke. Ben Langen, fourth in the 400 butterfly, fifth in the 100 backstroke. Callahan McCauley, first in the 200 medley relay, first in the 200 freestyle, first in the 50 freestyle, and first in the freestyle relay. Quinn McCauley, third in the 100 freestyle, third in the 500 freestyle, first in the 200 freestyle relay, first in the 400 freestyle relay. Bryce Thorne, first in the 200 medley relay, second in the 50 freestyle, third in the 100 butterfly, first in the 200 freestyle relay. Elizabeth Williamson, sixth in the 200 freestyle relay, fourth in the 400 freestyle relay. And whereas the following Gallatin High team members won all state honors by placing in the top 6 of the state meet. Victoria Bender, sixth in the 200 medley relay. Sam Butt, fourth in the 200 medley relay, fifth in the 200 freestyle relay, sixth in the 100 breaststroke. Grayson, got it. Fourth in the 200 medley relay, fifth in the 200 individual medley, fifth in the 100 breaststroke, fourth in the 400 freestyle relay. Trig Suvilicek, fourth in 200 medley relay, third in the 50 freestyle, first in the 100 freestyle, third in the 400 freestyle relay. Wesley Hill, sixth in the 200 individual medley, fifth in the 200 freestyle relay, third in the 400 freestyle relay. Jane Kusick, sixth in the 200 medley relay, sixth in the 200 individual medley. Maddie McBride, third in the 200 freestyle relay, third in the 400 freestyle relay. Help me out. Alina third in the 100 butterfly, third in the 200 freestyle relay, third in the 400 freestyle relay. Maya Magid, thank you. Second in the 50 freestyle, third in the 200 freestyle relay, second in the 100 breaststroke, third in the 400 freestyle relay. Lola Pizzado Smith, sixth in the 200 medley relay, fifth in the 100 butterfly, third in the 400 freestyle. Riley Marks, fourth in the 200 medley relay, fifth in the 200 freestyle relay. Lucas Mayer, sixth in the 200 freestyle, fifth in the 200 freestyle relay, third in the 400 freestyle relay. Maria Ross, sixth in the 200 medley relay, fourth in the 100 freestyle, third in the 200 freestyle relay, sixth in the 100 backstroke. And Shelby Russell, fourth in the 200 freestyle, third in the 50 freestyle, third in the freestyle relay. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees recognize and honor the individual state champions and all state individuals from both schools at the Bozeman and the Bozeman High School State Championship.
Second.
Motion made by trustee Sarah Wilson, seconded by trustee Neal. Any public comment? All those in favor? Motion passes 8-0. All right, we're well, congratulations. So you guys in some sort of organized chaos, we'd like to get a picture with you. So the organized chaos is you guys coming up here and somehow fitting into a picture with all of us. So come on up. Thank you. All right, congratulations. Next is 2.3.3 National Merit Scholarship recipient, Mr. Mills. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for having us tonight. I'm here to reintroduce to you Phoebe Cross, who's seated next to me. You've met Phoebe before on multiple occasions, and for good reason. Phoebe has been a multiple-time speech and debate champion, state champion. Phoebe, you met earlier this year as well when we introduced this year's National Merit Scholarship Competition, which starts, if you recall, every year with the National Merit Semifinalists announcement in the fall. We're very fortunate here in Bozeman at both high schools to announce National Merit Semifinalists every year. And that's still a very special honor, even though we do it every year. It amounts to about 1% of all PSAT and MSQT examinees qualify as National Merit Semifinalists across the entire nation. So that's 16,000 who sat here as semifinalists in respective boardrooms across the nation out of 1.5 million. So that in and of itself is impressive. What we don't have every year is a National Merit Scholarship recipient, which is what we're here to honor Phoebe for. That gets much less than 1%. I didn't do the exact math on it. I don't know that I have that exact calculation. But when we take those 16,000 semifinalists, they become finalists. Most of them become finalists, and there's a process by which Phoebe and his peers, submit written applications, written letters of recommendation, a substantial essay, basically form a scholarship resume to submit to the National Merit Corporation. That's what Phoebe's been working on this year in the midst of everything else that he's been up to. A couple other things to mention about Phoebe, in addition to the dominance in speech and debate that I mentioned. You are a co-president of, do you call yourself president in Human Rights Club?
I mean, we're like founders. We all co-founded.
Co-founder, co-president, co-leader of the Human Rights Club at Bozeman High, which is a thriving organization. Co-president of Academic Olympics, which matches your academic resume and interests. Additionally, Phoebe has also been accepted to Brown and Yale and Harvard. Phoebe, I probably should have warned you, they may ask what you're planning to do next year, and there's no pressure on that. You can be undecided if you are at this point. To look at Phoebe's academic transcript, to say it's impressive is not enough. It's a thing of beauty. Phoebe has explored every part of our academic catalog and dominated with precision all of our academic offerings. And so all of these things work together to form the composite of the student and community member at Bozeman High that Phoebe is. And I'll also add that, when there are very few students at Bozeman High who have the respect that Phoebe has among our faculty, and there are very few students at Bozeman High who I've worked with who have the humility that Phoebe has. Phoebe, I'm sure, is not particularly comfortable with all this praise that I'm giving him right now in front of you. So that's a little bit about Phoebe. I know you want to hear from him, so I'll turn it over to you at this point for your questions.
Yeah. Hi.
Congratulations, Phoebe, on your
Thank you.
accomplishments and all the effort I'm sure that's gone into it. So if we have any trustee comments, go for it.
Well, congratulations. This is very impressive. Have you been in Bozeman schools since kindergarten?
Yep, since kindergarten.
Could you tell us kind of briefly what your experience has been that led you to this level?
I mean, I've loved Bozeman School District. All of my teachers have been phenomenal. Recently with the Worthy Student Scholarship that I also received, I had a really hard time picking an educator because I had a list of 15 different teachers that I really wanted to recognize. They're all the most wonderful human beings. They all care about their jobs more than anything, and they're all just so amazing. They've all shaped me into who I am today. I would not be able to do any of this without the amazing teachers who are also just as passionate about teaching as I am learning.
Any other comments by trustees? Liana, do you have one comment?
Well, first, congratulations. It's an impressive accomplishment. I'm wondering, what do you like? I'm picturing that academic spotlight that you have. What do you do for fun to relieve stress or pressure or whatever?
Ooh, I love to paint. I think painting, art is my main outlet outside of school. I also love hanging out with my dog, going on long walks, going to the gym. I don't know. But school is a lot of it. But hopefully it becomes less of it. As I go to college, I can do more outside. But we'll see. Yeah.
Trustee Moran.
Congratulations. This is extremely impressive. So who did you choose to be your distinguished educator?
I chose Trinell. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, knowing her through Academic Olympics, I think really shaped that. But I've also just known her as a friend, of my family for a little while.
Mhm.
And so, I don't know, it felt like the right choice. We took a good photo shoot. Hopefully you can see the newspaper. Where the American Gothic painting, we dressed up all the way out. I'm wearing a bald cap. That's pretty good.
And then what are your future plans?
I'm probably gonna be attending Yale in the fall, majoring in ethics, politics, and the economy. So interdisciplinary major, hoping to then go into law school after that. Yeah.
Well, it is my honor to recommend that the Board of Trustees adopt the following resolution. Whereas across the nation, approximately 1.5 million high school juniors took the preliminary SAT in fall of 2024, and whereas approximately 16,000 semifinalists have been named in the 67th Annual National Merit Scholarship Program from across the United States. And whereas to compete for a finalist position and possible scholarship award, the semifinalists go through an application process that includes an essay and recommendation. And whereas out of 15,000 finalists, one Bozeman High School senior, Phoebe Cross, has been named a 2,500 National Merit Scholarship Corp winner. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees recognize and honor 2026 National Merit Scholarship winner Phoebe Cross for his outstanding performance in a national field based on accomplishments, skills, and potential success in college.
Second.
Ooh. Motion made by trustee Moran, seconded by trustee Bertelson. Any public comment? All those in favor? Motion passes 8-0. Congratulations. And then Phoebe, you can come on up. We'll get a quick picture. You don't have to. You can stand. Find a spot in between us or something like that. Next, 2.3.4, 2026 Hulsa State Leadership Conference Gold awardees, excuse me. It looks like Allie Carter, Felicia King, and Shannon Canodal. Come on up. You can bring your students too.
I'm Felicia King. I'm one of the co-advisors for Gallatin High.
And I'm Shannon Canodal. I'm the advisor for Bozeman High. And I'm just going to introduce Michaela Oberly. She's going to not only represent the Bozeman High School side, she was a president for my club, but she was also a state officer. So I think she's going to talk about what HOSA is, and then we'll talk about our individual medals. And if Gallatin wants to jump in, go ahead and jump in.
Okay. Hi there. As Ms. Canodal said, my name is Michaela Overly. I am a Montana HOSA state officer and the co-president of the Bozeman High School chapter. So a little background on what HOSA is. HOSA is a Future Healthcare Professionals Organization, a CTSO, that helps students on their path to becoming healthcare professionals. These members standing in front of you today have all competed at the Montana HOSA State Leadership Conference, where they prepared for and studied diligently for around 3 to 4 months for their competition category. And they took online tests, videoed themselves doing a variety of different skills, and then in person at the conference in early April, performed their skills in front of a panel of judges. And Bozeman HOSA earned 27 total medals this year in a variety of different health career events. 23 out of the 28 students who attended were rookies, and 11 of the medals we earned were gold. And to put that in perspective, that's almost 4 times the amount of gold medals that we won last year. So pretty exciting increase. And I'll wrap up my part by saying all of the students that are standing in front of you today are state champions, which is pretty awesome. And as a state officer, I'm so proud of all of the students who are here today. So yeah, and now I'll give it over to the Gallatin.
I'll just add a little bit to that. You did a great job summarizing the organization. Yeah, I think that's wonderful to say that everyone up here is a state champion in different fields, and they really do get to showcase different kinds of skill sets in different events. We had a great showing. I think Ridge talked about some of the stats, and I'm really proud of our team. And we did have 42 students could go and compete, which I thought was also very cool and worth celebrating. Would it be okay if I just had all the students go around and just say the names of the events that
Sure.
they're being honored in? So your first place events.
So
And if there's any details to add.
But I would ask that if you're hiding behind someone, because we do have plenty of space in the room, so if you're hiding behind someone or a column, it'd be great to be able to see your face.
Yeah, just make space for
And
each other.
you can come around this side. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
as you can see, it's like a lot of diversity of interests and skills that they're working on. I guess last thing that I want to highlight is that Michaela and one of our officers, Alina Yang, who isn't here tonight, but they played a major role in organizing the conference for how many attendees?
Like 450 around people. But yeah, we planned, and for about 2 months we planned and planned the conference, and then we got to lead it, and it was just so much fun. And I got to meet students from all across Montana and talk to them and just encourage them on their paths that they're going to pursue.
Okay, I think that's what we have to share.
All right, well, thank you, and thank you for all your guys' efforts and what you're doing. It's pretty exciting to hear about, so congratulations. Are there any comments from trustees? All right, if not, Gary, the floor is yours for comments and questions.
Well, it's my extreme pleasure to read this motion. First of all, how many seniors are here? Okay. I have a question. In your HOSA leadership conference, or even in any of the biomed classes you're in, what are you learning about our healthcare system and how it's functioning?
And also on a reminder, if you can turn back on the mic so you can be heard on the recording, it's really important.
My name is Evie Taylor, and when I competed at the HOSA state competition, we went to creative problem solving, and our issue was talking about medical misinformation, which is a very huge issue not only in the medical field, but also outside the medical field. Like, all of us deal with it almost all the time, wondering what we can and can't believe online. So we're talking about like the social aspects of that and how to solve that problem, which was really fun for us to delve into, and I think I learned a lot from that exercise.
I'll add in a little thing. In my event, Mental Health Promotion, we created a social media campaign on a mental health topic, and our chosen topic was rural isolation in Montana and how it affects mental health. And I think what we learned, a big takeaway, is that a lot of the counties in Montana actually don't have access to mental health resources and mental health professionals. And that's a big contributing factor to the really high rate of suicide. We're the second highest in the nation, which is unfortunate. And so our campaign addressed like how to help work through feelings of rural isolation.
Okay, very good. I encourage you all to continue to pursue whatever you want to in the healthcare professions. So thank you for doing that. So with that, I move the following resolution. Whereas Health Occupation Students of America, HOSA, is a student organization whose mission is to promote career opportunities in healthcare and to enhance the delivery of quality healthcare to all people. And whereas the State Leadership Conference was held in Billings, March 31st to April 1st, 2026, and whereas the following students earned gold medals: Bozeman High School, Graydon Callis, Occupational Therapy; Rose Culpepper, Prepared Speaking; Brooke Fink, June Click, River Jones, Vivian Matlick, Health Education; Kylie Lemires, Michaela Oberly, Audrey Schaub, Mental Health Promotion; Waylon Watkins, Biomedical Equipment Technician; Avery Westfall, Environmental Health; Galata High School, Helen Raff, Research Poster; Kayla Lobb, Medical Spelling and Epidemiology; Alex Ramsey, Biology and Medical Reading; Mira Horgan, Alex Ramsey, Fallon Mortensen, Heidi Steinfad, Hosa Bowl; Sailor Cook and Sierra Mehmood, Forensic Science; Evie Taylor, Kayla Lobb, Ria Lowe, Creative Problem Solving; Stella Broom, Clinical Specialty; Ria Lowe, and Kayla Lobb, Search Skills; Miles Minders, Physics, Human Heredity, and Career Development. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees recognize and honor these students for their first place finishes.
Second.
Motion made by trustee Lucine, seconded by trustee Sandy Wilson. Any public comment? All those in favor? Motion passes 8-0. Congratulations. Well, congratulations. Thank you very much. Come on up and get a quick picture. Either you guys can kneel down because you guys have a large group, or you can just make sure that when you look behind you, there's someone taller than you.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Congratulations, you guys.
What are they making? I think if you guys just have one more second, trustee Lucine has one more comment.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, before you guys leave, one thing I forgot, I just really want to give a shout out to your teachers and the administrators, the great work you're doing, supporting these students. So thank you very much. It's much appreciated. Thanks.
Also, we have a lot more left on our meeting, so you're welcome to stay. No? Next items, 3 action items consent.
Motion to approve consent agenda items 3.2, 3.3, and 3.4.
Second.
Thank you. So motion made by trustee Neal, seconded by trustee Sandy Wilson. Any public comment? All those in favor? Motion passes 8-0. It looks like there's a elementary district.
Motion to approve consent agenda item 3.5.
Second.
Motion made by trustee Neal, seconded by trustee Bertelson. Any public comment? All those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Next item is 5, board discussion. 5.2, Bridge Health Alliance update. Casey.
Thank you, Chair Black. Reminder, in December, this board approved conditional approval of joining Bridge Health Alliance, and part of that recommendation was 3 contingencies. This is just an update on those contingencies. 2 of the 3 have been met. So number 2 was around receipt of contracts, interlocal agreements, and documentation from Bridged around pricing structures and what the self-funded program would look like. We have received those, and those have been satisfactorily received by our group. Number 3 was around the trust coming to fruition at the state level. And so it has been officially qualified with the state auditor's office. The $40 million has been released to Bridged Health Alliance, and they're actively setting up their organization in Helena. They have office space, and John Duran was named by the interim board, the executive director of the organization, and he has begun hiring and moving the organization forward. The one key piece is successful contracting, and that contracting is between the third party TPA that has been selected, Allegiance, and Bridged, working in collaboration in all the local markets with the local hospital systems. And so there has been some initial conversations between those parties locally at Bozeman Health. I had follow-up one-on-one meeting today with the CEO at Bozeman Health to talk about Bridged and to talk about where Bozeman Public Schools is at, what our needs are, the history of the $40 million and all the work that's been done to get to that point. Where we are at is, what I heard today is that it's a negotiation process, and that negotiation process will continue. Bozeman Health is well aware that public schools are in a different boat than cities and counties, where we cannot permissively levy increases to health insurance premiums. They're also very aware that our revenue is capped at 3% if voted on in our upcoming election. And so we were able to have a good conversation. I feel like they have the information they need on the whole picture and our perspective as an individual district as part of Bridged. We know that there has to be some sort of drop dead date in this process because if Bridged is Plan A, we also need Plan B. For us, Plan B is a status quo, continuing to be self-funded, and we have received some updated numbers from our current TPA on what it would cost to stay with them next year. We are a September renewal, so we have some time. However, the Bridged renewal process begins in May and June, and so I have articulated to Bozeman Health today that we really need to know if contracting is going to be successful by the beginning of May. And so the way that the contingent approval was written, it expired on March 31st. And so for us to continue to move forward with Bridged, it would take action of this board. And so we plan one way or another at the May meeting to come forward with an updated recommendation on Plan A or Plan B, and then have board take action at that time. Did I miss anything? Okay. Stand for any questions.
Comments, questions? Gary?
Yeah, thank you, Casey. Do you have any information you could share with us, kind of what the hospital's position is?
So a big part of the, as we articulated in December, we don't anticipate moving to Bridge is going to save us an incredible amount of money in year one or year two or year three. It's the long-term contract structure tied to a multiple of Medicare, where that Medicare inflation is a more reasonable number than some of the numbers we've been getting in the market. Bozeman Health fully understands that and is willing to negotiate a multiple of Medicare contract. My understanding of the initial negotiations was, as you would expect, Bridged and Allegiance came in with a number and not to exceed a ceiling on the multiple of Medicare threshold. The hospital would like to dig into that number and look at it in different for different items on their pay matrix. And so they're not comfortable with just a one-size-fits-all number, and they're going to have to continue to negotiate what that might look like moving forward. They are open to discussing and having a multiple Medicare structure.
Okay, thank you. And then who makes the final decision as to whether or not we move forward?
Yeah, good question. And so we will continue to work with Bridged to see if they end up with successful contracting. If they provide us evidence of successful contracting, we would give that update to our health insurance board committee, health insurance committee. They would make a recommendation, and we would bring a recommendation forward. Ultimately, the Board of Trustees will decide where we go next year.
Any other comments or questions, trustees? All right, thank you, Casey, for the update. Appreciate it. Next item, 6, public comment on non-agenda items. Yes. All right, just need to have you state your name, and then there's a note, some paper right there. You have to write your name and address, I believe.
I'll do that after. Hi, my name is Margaret Bastian. I am a student, a junior at MSU studying political science. I am here to express my concern about the increasingly warm winters and how it affects wildlife and the survival of wildlife and what the schools can do about it. Recent climate trends have shown that winters are becoming warmer and more unpredictable, which is bad for a multitude of reasons. While these warmer winters may seem nice at first, it is quite detrimental to a lot of animals. Like moose, they are starting to move more north in areas that is colder because they need cold to survive, or not survive, but thrive. Snow insulates like ground squirrels for hibernators, and so without the feet of snowpack, they're burning through their fat storage a lot faster. And this has an early emergence also because of warm winters, and this has a detrimental effect on their offspring and survival chance of their offspring. And also migratory birds are really being affected because they're missing the bug bloom, they're having to move their migration. It's shifted since, I think, the 1970s, 5 to 10 days. They're arriving 5 to 10 days later. What I think you guys can do is I would like the school district to create a local climate and wildlife education initiative. First, I think you guys should partner with MSU or local wildlife agencies to bring real local data to students. Secondly, I think we should do hands-on learning opportunities such as student-led projects, maybe fundraisers, stuff like that. Third, I think we should practice more sustainability within schools and have these students try and take the sustainability efforts home. And finally, I think that we should support community education efforts as well. So trying to not just educate students, but the whole city of Bozeman as well. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Yes.
Hi,
Welcome.
my name is Charlie Palm. I'm a student at MSU, and I'm also a Bozeman resident. Climate change is already affecting Montana through increased wildfires, drought, reduced snowpack, and ecosystem changes that impact our local economies, our recreation, and our agriculture. Despite these local impacts, there is no comprehensive and compulsory climate literacy program across K-12 education in Bozeman. All students are affected by the impacts of climate change, but in particular, rural, indigenous, and low-income students are disproportionately affected. Without climate education, students are unable to engage with emerging climate concerns. Research shows that climate literacy improves students' scientific understanding, community engagement, and ability to make informed decisions. I am here today to propose that the Bozeman School District adopt a district-wide climate literacy and action initiative as part of their role in determining curriculum. First, we should integrate climate education into existing science and social studies courses rather than adding separate classes. More specifically, a place-based curriculum with an emphasis on Montana natural systems in the context of climate change. Second, we should provide teacher training on climate literacy. Third, we should create opportunities for student-led projects. These could take the form of things like school energy audits, school gardens, and partnerships with local conservation organizations or MSU. Finally, we should establish a climate education advisory committee that includes teachers, students, scientists, and community members in order to oversee the implementation of climate education and continue to adapt to new climate science. The EPA Environmental Education Grant could assist in funding this proposal, and the district could also partner with MSU and local nonprofit organizations for curriculum support and existing curriculum resources. The benefits of climate education are invaluable. Students will improve their scientific literacy and critical thinking. They will be connected to potential careers in climate, STEM, or policymaking fields. They will engage with their community and be able to pursue leadership opportunities. Additionally, this will allow all students to receive climate education, not just those with access to advanced resources. Communities vulnerable to climate change will be more prepared for environmental and economic changes they may face. Providing climate education is education equity, and it is a vital step in equipping Montana to combat climate change. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? And then if you just want to push the button on the mic, that would be great. Thank you. Next item 7 is reports, executive cabinet report. Nothing. All right. 7.2, Board of Trustees, requests, agenda items, calendar, concerns, reports. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to briefly talk about, I was at the MTSBA Board of Directors meeting, welcome to have conversations with anybody about our discussions, but we worked on a long-range strategic plan. Very lively discussions about a number of things. The other thing I want to bring up is that I'm the municipal director, so I represent the II Bozeman, but we are in Region 8, and there is no director for Region 8, which encompasses like Belgrade and other school districts around here. If you know any trustees or if you're interested in joining the board, let me know. Can I just continue a little bit too? I am hopefully going to Morning Star on Wednesday morning and getting to hear one of their early morning math meetings. So that's my next thing. And I've been at CJ for a number of things because I have a student teacher there. So I've been in the 6th grade wing in particular, and it's been a lot of fun to just be in the classroom for a 90-minute block and seeing how that 90-minute block works for math. So.
Gary.
Yeah, thank you. Last week I spent 2 days tuning into the School Funding Interim Commission meeting. I was in Helen all day Tuesday and then online Wednesday. And that commission has a heavy load on them. And I want to give a shout out to Mike Waterman and Eric Matthews for the good information and comments and questions they have during that session. So thank you very much. I think the commission is, they've got a plan working now for their June meeting. And then they had, their last meeting was going to be in August, I believe. They added a July meeting because they have a lot on their plate. So there's a 2-day July meeting. They do have on their agenda for staff is looking into of putting some type of ongoing process in place to study our system of education and the many issues within our system. I don't know exactly where that's going to land, but there's seems to be interest for sure among the commissioners to move in that direction, which I think would really help legislators from a funding standpoint to get really good solid information once they have to make a decision. So anyway, I'll stay tuned to that, and they're fun to watch. And I want to thank Mike for his engagement and participation in that, as well as Eric. So thank you.
Any other comments, trustees? All right, well, again, it's presentation season. Many of you have been making a few different ones, so appreciate all your help in that. And then also obviously the staff between Mike and Casey and Lacey, and not sure if I've seen anybody else, but I appreciate everybody getting out and doing the presentations for all of our levies. And we've had some really good questions at them as well. So thank you for making the extra time this season. With that being said, I adjourn this meeting.